Hello, beautiful people. It's Sinderfam. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're back again with another video from the Whatever podcast. Let's check it out.
Moving on to the next thing, two of you said women disagreed that women are not oppressed. That was Amanda and I think Isabella. Amanda, how are women oppressed?
I mean, I think that the double standard of slut shaming is a perfect example of oppression against women.
Anything else besides that?
I mean, not in the United States.
Okay.
Why is that? I don't actually understand. How is that oppressive?
They're oppressed. They can't be sluts, Andrew.
Yeah, how's it
can.
oppressive to hold a stigma against women who have a high body count? Other women do as well. It's not just men.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't think we should be shaming people for their body counts. So
Yeah, but I think that
I think that the double standard for men comparatively to women is where the oppression comes in. You're using intimidation.
What's the double standard?
That it's okay for a man to have a high body count, but not a woman.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
So, yeah, I don't understand how that's oppressive.
That's your opinion. I think that it's oppressive.
Well, I haven't given an opinion. I'm just telling you I don't actually understand why it's oppressive, though.
Yeah,
Because
how's it oppressive?
You're trying to influence her personal decision making based on your intimidation factors.
We should.
Well, wait. Hang on a second. How are you trying to influence her personal decision making?
By making her feel bad about what she's doing.
So, the stigma, you're saying that the social stigma as relayed by men is just that they don't prefer women who have high body counts, right?
Sorry, you cut out there a second. Can you
when you say slut shaming, what does that mean? Like, are men walking down the street and you're just calling women sluts, or?
No, I mean like the fact that I think the earlier conversation was women with a high body count don't necessarily deserve
right.
What was the term?
A traditional man.
A chivalrous or traditional man.
Well, I was making that argument when it comes to sex workers, but sure, yeah, like
yeah. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And so I think that having that perspective is let me think about how to articulate this. So the oppression comes from the judgment position, right? Like at the end of the day, the judgment does not lie with you, the individual. It lies between that person and who they are meeting at the end of their life. And so that's where I think that trying to use our human bodies to influence other humans I think that that's oppressive to that person. It's none of our business what's going on over there.
Okay. Let's say for a second that, 70% of men, or no, let's make it higher. Let's say 90% of men and 90% of women were not promiscuous and stayed virgins until the day they got married, and only 10% didn't. Would it be okay to slut shame then?
Slut shame the 10%?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think that you should shame anyone for their sexuality or activity.
Now, okay, gotcha. So the oppression here, if it came from both men and women, would be creating the social stigma around the promiscuity, correct?
The oppression would be surrounding the promiscuity? Yeah.
Yeah, stigma around it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm anti this.
Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is like, can you think of a better way to influence out of society things that you don't want in society than using social stigma?
I mean, I think you used this example recently, and like the rebuttal that came to mind for me would be prohibition, right? Like the government tried to kind of like get our drinking problem under control by...
Well, that wasn't by stigma, that was via lawfare. So they just outlawed it outright. It was not due to social stigma. So nobody's outlawing you.
But there
was
stigma,
right?
that led to the legislation.
You see, part of the problem with the society, because many modern women are not being held accountable. So at every given time, or whenever a woman is being called out or held accountable, it is seen as either oppression or somebody is trying to take their rights away. Part of it is also as a result of many parents not telling their kids no, because when they grow up, they grow so entitled that the world owes them something, or owes them to always listen to them or pave way for them or give them something, to the point where they don't think they can be held accountable or they should be held accountable, because lots of them don't even know that there are consequences for some actions. And if the worldview is holding some people accountable, then the entitlement comes to play, because how dare you hold me responsible or hold me accountable because some other person is doing it, so therefore I should also be doing it, so I shouldn't face the consequences, right? I shouldn't be held accountable. I am entitled to my opinion, so if you ever call me out or hold me accountable, then you're oppressing me. Does that even make sense? When are these modern women just gonna grow up? Just when?
From women, yeah. Women did that. That's correct. No, I'm not kidding. It really
No, I
was.
believe
was
it. I have no doubt.
They had the temperance movement, and that's what led to that. So, but the thing is the social stigma, which was there, which led to lawfare, ended up being repealed very, very, very quickly.
Because they
But
couldn't
nobody's
control-
talking about making a law that says that you can't be promiscuous. What I'm asking is, if there was a behavior in society which people didn't like, then creating a social stigma, wouldn't that be an efficient way to get rid of the behavior?
I don't think that it's a foolproof method, so I don't think that it's appropriate. No.
Well, what method would be appropriate?
I mean, I don't think you can control anyone.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
up
mean,
to
we
them.
control people all the time. I mean, you stop at a stop sign, right?
I mean,
You're
we're
clearly
in
controlling
California.
people. Yeah, I mean, you control them all the time. You put in lines and stop signs. You got to get driver's licenses. You have to fill out paperwork. I mean, it's an entire grid. In fact, I'd say most of your day you were controlled. Like just getting from point A to point B, it's control, 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 right? So I don't know what you mean by we don't control people. We definitely control people. We control the shit out of people. So the question is like, why is it bad to have a social stigma against something in society that people tend not to care for? That seems fine to me.
I think that sex is a very natural part of life, and it should be talked about more freely in a way that is empowering and not diminishing. And that's where I think the true power of a person's sexuality comes from, in that education and having transparent conversations, not just with their friends, but with people that are talking to them about sex. Like, I don't know, I've never heard this conversation kind of come up, but are you an abstinence only sex education person, or are you a full, like, what's your position on that? Do you think that they should teach abstinence only or all inclusive sex education?
I think that considering for most of our history, most women and men were virgins on their wedding night. This is a brand new occurrence. If you look at the rate of STIs, unplanned pregnancies, which lead to abortion, all of these other factors, I can't actually think of a good reason why we as a society would not want to promote abstinence until marriage. I actually can't think of a single good reason for that. Do you have one?
Yeah, I think sexual health is a very good reason to teach all-inclusive sex education.
What would that have to do with sexual health?
Being aware of what's supposed to be happening with your body and what's
Yeah,
not
you
supposed
can
to
be
be
aware
happening.
of all of that and stay abstinent. Like, what would that have to do if let's say we as a society, you still get sex ed, you know how all the parts function, how all the parts work, right? Nobody's saying you can outlaw that. We've had sex ed, by the way, for a long time. But
I don't agree with how it's taught now, by the way.
if we as a society said, okay, we're going to run a national campaign, and the national campaign is designed to promote abstinence until marriage and not sleeping around with people outside of marriage, what would actually be the negative side effect to society of that?
I think the misunderstanding of knowledge and the secretiveness is where the danger comes from. So just like if you tell a kid, don't drink, right? Your parents all tell us don't drink. We all end up stealing alcohol from our parents and having bad experiences. And so from my perspective, I think it's better
So
to
why
have...
not just hand them the beer?
I mean, there are some parents that do.
Yeah, so I mean, so your argument here is like, you gotta go fuck people, or else you're gonna go fuck people.
I think you should have a pretty solid understanding of your sexual awareness before you go into a
why
committed
wouldn't we run a
relationship.
national campaign? So why wouldn't we instead run a national campaign advising people to go have as much sex as possible?
I mean, I would tell people they should masturbate for sure.
Yeah, you want a national campaign for masturbation? So your argument here is, so let me just ask you this. If we ran a national campaign, just advertisements only from the federal government, a promotion, in other words, that people had more sex, do you think people would have more sex?
If we ran a national campaign that they should have more sex,
Yeah,
do I think that they would?
yeah.
That's a weighted question in today's media. I think that if you're not a free thinker, yeah, you might be inclined to that. I look
Yeah.
at anything coming from any sort of media as educational material.
Well, this wouldn't just be media, right? Yeah, I mean, you can't say propaganda doesn't work. Look at smoking.
Oh,
Smoking used to be able to smoke everywhere you ever wanted to smoke, and through massive media and government propaganda, it's been essentially outlawed everywhere. The only place you could really smoke is like outside, but even in some outdoor areas, it's usually confined now. And it used to be that if you were in that studio and it was filled with smoke, that would just have been life, right? So I mean, clearly it works. Same thing with getting people to smoke. They ran a huge campaign to do that, and it got almost everybody smoking. So I mean, clearly it works. So by that metric, knowing that.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So by that metric, knowing that, if you were to run a national campaign for abstinence, don't you think less people would have sex? If they saw that as like being patriotic, and there was and there was a big social stigma against it, and all the government agencies were telling you this is bad for the country, we need to not do this, don't you think less people would have sex?
It could be likely.
Yeah, so I mean, so my question is like, what are the negative side effects of that? Of less people having sex before they're married?
I'm gonna have her answer. You guys can continue. Actually, I'll just trigger.
Okay.
I'll play.
I have a question, and I really want to know the reason why modern women are fighting so hard to be promiscuous just because men do it. It's not beneficial for both sides, but the fact that women or modern women think it is okay, especially modern feminists, are campaigning that modern women engage in promiscuity just because men do it to whatever and whatnot. It's not making sense. Why do they think that the only thing that is beneficial for them in the society or where they can get their empowerment from is by having multiple sexual partners at the exact same time? Why do they think that? Why do they think that sex is important to give you the level of empowerment you need in the society? Is not making sense. Rather than them fighting for better things in the society, they are fighting to objectify themselves and then blame people who do the exact same thing that they are doing. It doesn't even make sense. Now the question here is, these women hate accountability, so every sense of accountability they see it as oppression. So what exactly is their problem? They just want privileges, and that is a problem. And I don't think we're gonna go far with this type of mindset in this society. But let me know what you think. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I would really love you to share that. Can share the useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.